Example 1.16 is to find the rank of a matrix, and this is typically a 6-mark sum. So whenever we have to find the rank of any matrix, we have to bring it to the echelon form. So for that there are a few rules. So always remember, when you have to find the rank of the matrix, the first row, first column, the element in the first row, first column has to be 1. Okay. So for that what we will do is, the first step is we will interchange these two rows. So then only this will become, the first row, first column will be 1. So the first thing that we are going to do is, we are going to interchange R1 and R2. So when we do that, the matrix becomes, R2 becomes R1, row 2 now becomes row 1, right? Then you become 3, 1, minus 5, minus 1, and 1, 5, minus 7, 2. The next step is to make this element 0, right? This is what we do for echelon form. So to make this element 0, what should we do? We should multiply this element here by 3 and subtract these two rows. So basically what happens is, black, R2 becomes R2 minus 3 times R1, right? So we'll write R1 as it is, 1 minus 2, 1 minus 5, and this has to become 0. So R2 will now become 3 minus 3 times R1. So 3 minus 1 into 3 becomes 0. 1 minus 6, 1 plus 6, right? So it becomes 7. Minus 5 minus 3, so it becomes minus 8. And minus 1 minus plus 15. Minus 3 into minus 5 is plus 15. So minus 1 plus 15 is 14, right? Next thing that we want to do is, we want to make this element also 0. So how to make this element 0? That can be done by directly subtracting row 3 and row 2. So R1, not R2. So this should be R1. R3 minus R1. So 1 minus 1, 0. 5 minus of minus 2. So 5 plus 2, 7. Minus 7 minus 1, minus 8. And 2 plus 5. That is 2 minus of minus 5 is 2 plus 5. You get 7 here. Now to bring a row full of zeros here, what can we do? We can try to make this element next to 0, right? To make this element 0, what should we do? We can directly subtract it from R2, right? So I'll say R3 is equal to R3 minus R2. So it becomes 0, 0, minus 8 plus 8 will become 0, and 7 minus 14 is minus 7. So the remaining we write it as it is. So further than this we can't make anything else 0. So this is said to be in the echelon form, right? Because we have one row which is a non-zero row which is starting with 1. Then we have a row which is having 0 before a non-zero element, and that row, the number of zeros in that row is lesser than its number of zeros in the next row. So these are some basic rules of the echelon form. So what is the rank of this matrix? The rank of this matrix A will be 3. Why? Because there are 3 non-zero rows. So the rank of a matrix is nothing but the number of non-zero rows present in an echelon form, right? So since there are 3 non-zero rows, the rank of this matrix is 3, right? So just some basic rules to remember. Always ensure that the first row is 1. So because of that we are interchanging row 1 and row 2, because we want this to become 1. You can also divide by 3 to make this 1, but if you divide by 3 it will become a little more complicated. You will get 1 by 3 minus 5 by 3 and you have to work with fractions here. So instead of that, interchange row 1 and row 2 and then make this second row first column, this element 1, right, and then you make it 0. So it will be 3 minus 3 times r1, right, and then make the third row first column element 0, third row second column element 0, and see how much you can make the last row as 0. Once you do that, it is completed. We'll do more sums on rank of matrix.